Hi, everyone. My name is Nina Ho, and welcome to the 7th annual Reverse Pitch Competition. The Reverse Pitch Competition is a partnership between the City of Austin and the Austin Young Chamber, and you can learn more about each of these organizations via the buttons at the bottom of the table floor at the end of this event. I'm so honored to be here today to support our local Austin entrepreneurs and businesses. A little bit about myself. I am currently the director of the Launchpad at UT Austin, and I will be your MC for tonight. So a little bit about my organization. The Launchpad is a resource hub at UT Austin, and we help students of all backgrounds navigate and explore entrepreneurship. So our mission is to encourage students to explore entrepreneurship at their own pace, cultivate an entrepreneur mindset, and just be ready for the modern workforce, regardless if they launch your own company or not. If you want to learn more about my work and what I do, feel free to reach out or come visit my table after the presentation. So again, we really appreciate, can y'all hear me okay? I think some audio issues, sounds good? Okay, so my personal goal is just making sure that y'all have a good time tonight. We really appreciate you being online on a Monday evening. So let's get to it. All right, so again, what is the reverse pitch competition? It's a competition where a local company presents a byproduct material such as food waste from a restaurant and asks entrepreneurs if it can be repurposed or reused without just throwing the material away. Then contestants in this competition, which hopefully will be a lot of you in the audience tonight, will create business ideas to repurpose these byproducts and ideally launch a new business venture. So after today's pitches from material suppliers, contestants will work with mentors and advisors to work on their business idea and submit it to a panel of judges. So let's talk about prizes. So this competition will end up with 4 teams who will be named Innovation Fellows, and they participate in a 3-part accelerator with different program partners to help work on their ideas and move them forward. So these Innovation Fellows will have an opportunity to receive lots of prizes from a $4,000 cash stipend, $3,000 NSF, National Science Foundation I-Corps Business Grant from Texas State University, automatic acceptance to pitch in front of potential investors at the 2nd annual Circular Austin Showcase later this year, an all access pass for 12 months at different Austin WeWork locations, credit for Build a Sign, in AYC membership, free coaching, education, promotional assistance along your entire journey. So again, this total prize package is worth up to $16.5K, which is a really sweet deal on top of helping our city be more sustainable. All right, so let's talk about the agenda for tonight and some housekeeping rules. So our material suppliers are going to be pitching their byproducts to you, the entrepreneurs in the audience. You'll learn about how these byproducts are generated, what the material consists of, and any other details to help inspire you to choose what you want to work on in this competition. So material suppliers will have 7 minutes to pitch, followed by 4 minutes of Q&A. I think one has 2 materials, so that organization will have 11 minutes to pitch and 5 minutes Q&A. Also, if you would like closed caption, you can click on live caption at the bottom of your screen or reading along by clicking CC on the right side of your screen as well. During the Q&A portion, please type your questions into the Q&A tool. The team will also kind of help moderate and move questions over if you happen to put them in the general chat. So no big deal. Reminder that after the materials suppliers pitch to y'all, this entire Remo event will be open until 8 p.m. so that you can come by and talk to them and just get to know these folks and learn more about what you could be working with. Lastly, please be respectful and courteous in the chat. We know the drill, right? And also, if you're having technical issues, you can refresh your browser, or if it keeps happening, you can private message Austin Young Chamber in a separate chat, and they can help you fix the issue. Another reminder is that this entire event will be uploaded to reversepitch.org sometime tomorrow. So if you or someone else you're interested in would like to review this or send to someone new, you can definitely reference these material byproducts again. And then also on Thursday evening of this week, AYC is hosting a 30-minute community call on Zoom. So if you have any additional questions, feel free to attend that event as well. All right, so before we kick off with our 4 suppliers, we'd just like to take a few minutes to thank the organizations who really supported this 2022 reverse pitch competitions. I would really love it if y'all can put +1 in the chat or do some emojis just to really hype up our amazing Innovation Prize contributors. Ranging from the City of Austin Office of Sustainability, the Economic Development Department, Austin Resource Recovery, Austin Young Chamber, Build a Time, Tech State University, New Chip, SOS Leadership, and We Work. So again, thank you so much to all of our promotional partners as well who helped to blast this out. And then, of course, our judges and advisors and mentors. Thank you so much to our panel this year, Josue Limon, Marianne Ward Peradoza, Rodney Wood, and myself. And also our event sponsor, Vela Wood Law Firm, for their continued support. So with that said, please join me in welcoming Madeline Morgan, Conservation Program Coordinator with Austin Resource Recovery, to share more about some of the exciting opportunities from the city's circular economy program. And she'll hand the mic back to me, and then we'll get started with our 4 teams.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Nina, I think there was echo, if you don't mind muting. There we go. All right, so thank you, Nina, for helping us kick off this event. And again, another round of thank yous to all of our wonderful partners who make this competition possible. It's kind of hard to believe we're in our 7th year already. So thanks for your continued support. If this is your first time at the reverse pitch competition, welcome. We're really glad to have you. I was looking at participant names in the chat, and there's a lot of unfamiliar faces or names, which is really awesome. And if you're returning, welcome back. We're glad to see you again. And thank you all for choosing to spend your Monday evening with us. So the city's Circular Economy Program is a joint partnership between Austin Resource Recovery and the Economic Development Department. Our work supports the city's zero waste goal, which is to divert 90% of all material from landfills and incinerators while supporting businesses in the circular economy and creating sustainable jobs that lead to upward mobility for historically marginalized Austinites. Reverse Pitch is one of our many programs that we offer. Typically, we have a staff member who does one-on-one business consultations with businesses in our circular economy ecosystem. That's kind of on hold right now until we get that position backfilled. But we do have circular meetups, which are every other month, an online lunchtime networking and learning series. We have tons of different resources available on our website at austintexas.gov/circulareconomy. And if you really want to stay in the loop and you're not already subscribed to our e-newsletter, it goes out at the beginning of every month. Thank you to the Young Chamber for dropping the sign up link in the chat there. But it's a great way to stay up to date with what's going on with our program and other related programs at the City of Austin as it pertains to business support and business development. And then we also find tons of different opportunities that we think, the small business and entrepreneurs in circular economy would be interested in. So networking opportunities, conferences, virtual events, funding opportunities, grants, award applications, all those types of things. As Nina mentioned, contestants can use one or more byproduct materials pitched tonight here at the Reverse Pitch Material Supplier event. And in order to be eligible to compete, competitors must live in, have permanent residence, or go to school in the Austin MSA. And all competitors must establish their business operation within the city of Austin. So something to keep in mind, if those don't apply to you, you will certainly need a teammate that falls under those in order to be eligible for this competition. In order to enter the competition, contestants must submit an intent to compete form due on March 7th. So that's after this event, after you watch this and synthesize what you're going to do. That's your first step. It's a short, informal concept statement about the material and the idea you think you'll be pursuing. We really want to drive home that this intent to compete does not lock you in to whatever idea you submit. It's just to give us an idea of what everyone is working on. And of course, pivots are natural and expected for any entrepreneur. So again, you're not locked into that. It's just your starting point. Then we'll match the competitors with our lovely mentors that have volunteered to give their time to each of you that are competing. And then we will be offering 2 free workshops, which we strongly encourage our competitors to participate in. There will be one on March 24th from 5 to 6:30, Designing with Circular Economy Principles. And then on March 31st from 5 to 6:30, Business Model Canvassing. And we'll be sending out more details about how to join those virtual workshops here in the next few days. So keep your eye out for that. And then on April 18th, the contestant applications are due. The application includes your business plan, using a template that we will provide you with, a pro forma, again using a provided template, and an optional image or rendering of your idea. Our judges will select the top 4 teams to be named Reverse Pitch Innovation Fellows, and they will win the Innovation Fellow Prize, which includes automatic entry into our Innovation Fellow Accelerators program, which will start right away at the beginning of May and run through August. The accelerator will include curated workshops, community calls, and deliverables around market validation, business models and goal setting, and crafting your pitch. And upon submission of each of the deliverables for this 3-part accelerator, each team will receive a cash stipend. Innovation Fellows, as Nina mentioned, also will have the opportunity to pitch in front of potential investors and compete for additional prize money at our 2nd annual Circular Austin Showcase later this year in August. So that's all on my end. I'm going to send it back to Nina and get you guys started with what the reason you all came here tonight.
All right, so let's get started with the first of our 4 material suppliers for tonight. Please welcome our first presenter, Emily Carpenter, Associate Scientist at EQO in partnership with the Austin Community College Bioscience Incubator. Emily, feel free to join me on stage, and folks in the audience, feel free to do a +1 in the chat or send some emojis her way.
Awesome, thank you so much. Let me just go ahead and share my screen here. There you go. So yes, my name is Emily Carpenter. I am a scientist with EQO, which is Environmental Quality Operations. What we do here in Austin is we envision a world where the whole aquatic environment management is possible to protect infrastructures, fisheries, native ecologies, and endangered species. And how we do this is we provide monitoring of water and treatment tools to provide long-term sustainability in biodiverse systems. And what that means is here in Austin, we do water monitoring to look at the mitigation of zebra mussels. And I, in particular, work on a National Science Foundation grant to help mitigate these zebra mussels. And through our startup, we work with the Austin Community College Bioscience Incubator. And what this is, it allows small businesses to have leasable wet space so that we can get our ideas across to everybody else. It's an awesome community of different businesses that do a whole load of things, and it allows collaboration and a space to work with a lot of great minds. While working at Austin Bioscience Incubator, we have produced materials. So as scientists, we rely on plastic, but plastic waste from the lab is rarely recycled. So what you're looking at are pipette tip boxes, and they account for about 75% of all lab generated plastic waste. And even if the tip boxes make it to way to recycle, they're often misidentified as medical waste and sorted into trash when they're not. So what these plastic tip boxes are, they're a plastic number 5 or polypropylene plastic boxes. It is the second most widely produced plastic, being light and heat resistant. Its current disposal, like I said, is mostly trash or recycling that usually leads to trash. And this plastic waste actually can be ground, melted, and pelletized to create recycled resin. And a lot of times this recycled resin can be used as like park benches or other eco-friendly products. So for the logistics of our tip boxes, our material is available at no cost. You can pick it up from the ACC Bio Incubator at ACC Highland campus. Our pickup frequency can be monthly. We're also very flexible on that. And then our volume also varies. Within our the bioscience incubator, we have a set amount of tip boxes that we produce, but we also have networking relations with other labs that can produce as much or as little as needed. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer any of them for you. Sorry, let me stop sharing. There you go.
Awesome. So folks, feel free to type in your question to Emily in the Q&A function, and we'll give people a couple seconds to do so. All right, so first question, are they all the same size, or is there any variation? Would it be just the plates with holes or also the clear boxes as well?
So they are very many different sizes, a lot of variation between them. I have researched all of the ones that we come across because we deal with different labs. We get them from different manufacturers, but they all seem to be plastic number 5. They will come with just the box or the plates inside, whatever you would like to use. If you want just the box or the plates, then we can figure something out in that. I know that the boxes with being, opaque or transparent and the plates having different color, I think that might change how they are recycled, but I'm not very sure on that.
Okay. Related to that, Susan asked, do the dimensions of the boxes have a range at least?
Yeah, so there's some boxes that are larger and some that are smaller. I don't have the actual dimensions, but that's something that we can get to you just because, like I said, different manufacturers have different size boxes. But the pipette tips in the boxes do range in different sizes.
Okay. Aria asked, when is the earliest they can be picked up from Highland?
We have a ton of tip boxes right now. So, I mean, you're more than welcome to coordinate with me or also Nancy Lyon. She will be talking with me after. She is our ACC lab coordinator. And we can figure out if you want to come look, touch, see, and all of that. So ASAP.
Okay, awesome. Related to quantity, when you say you have a ton, is that a couple of bins, a truckload, and maybe estimated per month to just give folks an understanding of volume?
Right. So you'll have to talk to me and Nancy after. Sorry, I don't have an exact amount right now, but because we do have ties and networking with other labs, this is the number one thing that we have the most recyclable of. So if the amount matters, we can figure something out to get larger amounts. We know that we can get other people to donate their tip boxes.
Okay, awesome. Let's see if other questions are different. Okay. Okay, another great question from Susan. Is there any chemical waste residue or other factors to consider, or would the boxes be able to be repurposed without melting?
I I believe the boxes would be able to be repurposed without melting. So usually what is used inside the boxes are the tips themselves. The boxes are like left standalone. So they
Okay.
would be able to repurpose as like, you know, organization or something like that.
Okay, awesome. Waiting for any other questions in the Q&A. Um, okay, all right, waiting last 10 seconds in case anyone wants to drop one in real quick. Um, Eileen asked, do they need to be clean to be used?
I would, I mean, I would rinse them down, but other than that, I think it would be okay.
Okay,
We don't use, I mean, we do use chemicals at our labs and things like that, but I think overall, like they're pretty safe to be used. I would rinse them off though.
okay, okay, got it. All right, thanks, Emily. Oh wait, there are several questions in the chat. Okay, let me switch over. Okay. All right, I think these are being moderated, but more importantly, feel free to swing the table after the fact, and you can get more granular details with her as well. All right, thank you, Emily.
Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for joining us this evening. We really appreciate it.
Great. All right, so our second presenter is Jennifer Evans, Executive Director of Austin Creative Reuse, of which I'm a power user of. Jennifer will actually have 11 minutes to pitch since she's presenting on two different materials. So Jennifer, thanks for being here. Folks, feel free to plus ones and emojis in the chat.
Thanks so much, Nina. It's so great to be back for another one of our favorite events of the entire year. So I'm really happy to be here. I'll go ahead and share my screen and then we can jump right in. Okay, so Austin Creative Reuse is a nonprofit founded right here in Austin. Our mission is to foster conservation and reuse through creativity, education, and community building. We have a creative reuse center in the Windsor Park neighborhood of East Austin. In our center, we collect donations of gently used creative materials from individuals and businesses. And then our team of staff and volunteers process those materials and make them back available to the community. We do that through the retail space in our creative reuse center, and then also through special programs for educators in schools and also for other nonprofits. In our Creative Reuse Center, we also have a workshop space where we host workshops with reuse artists here in Austin. We host group volunteering events to help us process the donations that come into our doors. And then we also make that space available to other organizations for education and community meetings regarding the environment and environmental issues, reuse, and things like that. If you come into our center, you'll see that we define creative materials very broadly. So you'll see some of the same materials that you would see in a traditional art and craft store, fine art materials like canvases and paint, fabric and fiber arts. You'll see lots of school supplies. Then you'll also see materials like we have here, the bottle caps. So materials that have lived their first life, and now we're inviting folks to come in and give them a second life as something else. We aim to keep everything in our center very reasonably priced because we believe that accessibility to the arts and art education is something that should be available to everyone in our community. Why we do it? We do all these things primarily for the environmental impact of keeping all these materials out of the landfill. So to date, we've diverted more than 1 million pounds of materials from the landfill here in Austin. We have about a 99% diversion rate, which means that of the materials that come to us as donations, less than 1% end up in the landfill. That's important because it's helping Austin meet our zero waste goals of diverting 90% of materials from our waste stream from the landfill by 2040. And then it also has some pretty significant climate impacts. You guys may know that landfills are one of the top producers of methane, which is one of the top greenhouse gases. So when we keep things out of the landfill, we're actually taking real effective, inexpensive climate action right here in Austin. So we've got two materials that we're pitching today, decorator fabric samples and fleece remnants. These are materials that come to us through relationships with businesses. They come in as donations, but we receive a very large volume of them. So in addition to having them available through our stores and in programs for educators and other nonprofits, we also like to find other ways to work with folks to figure out how we can use these materials in new and different ways. The decorator fabric samples come to us primarily from decorators and design houses. They also come to us through a partnership with IIDA, the International Interior Design Association. Their local chapter has been a partner of ACRs for a very long time. They have several events during the year where they take quite seriously the impact that their industry can have on the environment and trying to get these materials into the hands of folks who can use them. The fleece remnants come to us from a place called Open Arms Studio here in Austin. They are a nonprofit social enterprise of the Refugee Multicultural Coalition. I want to read you their mission because they're a great organization. Their mission is to provide sewing training and living wage work for refugees, creating high quality soft goods for private label designers. So the fleece that we get from them is the remnants of the large bolts of fleece that they use in their production lines. So I'll share a few details about each of these particular materials. So fabric samples that we get come in two different forms. They come as loose samples and then also as these books that you see here. So these are the things that if you went into a showroom to buy a new couch and they show you all of the different materials that you can choose from. So these books and the loose samples go out of style really quickly or they change to the next season. And so we are working with these designers to figure out ways to give them a second life. These are typically upholstery fabrics, so they're high quality, thick, durable materials. Some of them are designed for outdoor use. We get them in a variety of materials, sizes, and colors. And because they are often for draperies or for couches or outdoor furniture, they're typically designed to prevent stains or to clean very easily. We receive them in these types of books that can be easily deconstructed or as loose samples. The loose sizes range from about 7-inch squares to 14-inch squares. The books can start real small, about 3 to 4 inches, and they can go up to the same size as the loose squares. These are typically materials that are really expensive to buy by the yard if you're going to go for a larger yardage. So if you can use smaller pieces, you can save a whole lot of money. We receive about 2,500 pounds per month of these materials. We receive them year round. The inventory definitely varies, but we have some control over how much comes in based on, to control that volume based on how much outreach we do or how much partnership building we do. We believe that these are materials that are generated by multiple businesses. So we think that it could be highly scalable by building those right kind of partnerships with industry. They are great for any application where you need relatively small cuts of high quality, durable fabrics. If we get to the point where we cannot take any more, unfortunately, we have to kind of work with our partners to limit the amounts that we have or to divert those materials in different ways. So we divert quite a lot of these directly into classrooms for use as projects in those classrooms. Unfortunately, we know that if we're not able to take them, these materials will typically end up in the landfill. Some of them can be composted if they're 100% cotton, but that's relatively uncommon for these types of samples. You can see, we see a lot of the use of these materials in accessories, clothing, and home goods, like these little shoes and the couch. The two photos on the right are from a local company here in Austin called Division Goods. We met their founder at a previous reverse pitch, and we have been working with her to provide materials for her very fastly growing startup. Okay, the fleece remnants. As you can see, we get quite a lot of fleece remnants coming into the center from Open Arms Studio. These are cuts of very high quality fleece. And fleece itself is a very versatile material. It's lightweight and it's very fast drying. So we see it a lot in athletic clothing and things for the outdoors. The sizes that we receive range from about 20 inches wide to 54 inches wide and between 60 inches long to 180 inches long. Most of the bundles that you see here are multiple pieces bundled together. And as you see, we mostly receive these in grays and navy, but we also receive remnants in black, teal, lime green, red, and purple. We get about 1,200 to 1,600 pounds of these materials per month. We think it's possible that this material or very similar material could be generated by multiple businesses. So it could be scalable for a relatively small startup by building partnerships with industry. And again, they're great for any application where you need a relatively small cut or multiple cuts that can be sewn together of a high quality, really durable fleece material. We like using our fleece remnants for a project that we call Fuzzy Fleece for Furry Friends. We're working with volunteers from ACR and some local shelters to build these no-sew pet beds to be donated to local shelters. They're great because they're really easy to wash and they're really durable. So again, that's some of the qualities of the fleece that make it really appealing as a material. Okay, so we're really excited to collaborate and support competitors who work with our materials. During reverse pitch, we're happy to make the materials available to entrepreneurs at no cost. And then after reverse pitch, there's a couple of different options. You could purchase the materials directly from ACR. Our fabric samples range from 10 cents to 25 cents per sample and 50 cents per book. Our fleece ranges from 50 cents to $4 per yard, depending upon the width of the material. But if you're looking to use a large amount, we can, of course, do bulk pricing for any of these things. Or we're happy to send you directly to the source of these materials and help you build partnerships within industry and with other organizations that may have a source, and we can get it directly from them. During the contest, you're welcome to pick up materials in our Creative Reuse Center in Windsor Park, which is in East Austin. We're available 7 days a week. You're welcome to just come by, but we would request advance notice if you'd like to meet with a staff member, perhaps talk a little bit more about the materials or see some of our backstock. And of course, you're welcome to come kind of play and sit down at our workshop and play with the different materials and get to know what we have available and get to know some of those pieces. So those are our details. Ready for questions, Nina?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jennifer. All right, folks, we have 5 minutes to ask Jennifer questions. Feel free to type your questions in the Q&A function in the chat. And we'll give folks some time to type. All right. One person would like to know do you have any idea if the material is hypoallergenic? I think maybe they're referring to the fleece.
The fleece, yeah. I don't know offhand, but I'd be happy to find out
Okay.
and get back to you. I'll drop my contact information in the chat, and I'm happy to find out some more information.
Okay. And then Susan wants to know, are any of the fabric samples outdoor fabrics, or are they mainly all indoor fabrics?
Yeah, we get quite a lot of outdoor fabrics as well. So things that would be used for, cushions on outdoor furniture and stuff like that. So yeah, we do have a fair amount. Some of them are outdoor because of the materials, and some of them are outdoor because of the way they've been treated.
Okay.
And typically all that information is available in the sample books.
Right. Any other questions for Jennifer? All right. Let's see. Someone asked for the fleece. Is it typically a pretty fine weave or like smooth?
Yeah, so the fleece, actually, I've got some here. I don't know if I'll really be able to show you over the internet, but let's see. Yeah, so it's got two sides. It's a pretty fine weave. It's got the one kind of really soft side that you have on, on the inside of your sweatpants. And then it has what we call like the smooth, silky side. I know you can't really tell the difference, but it does have that weave, and we're happy to have you come by and have a look at it.
Okay, awesome. And then Tennille, who I think is still a UT student, is really excited to work with you. So you'll be hearing from her in chat.
Fantastic. That would be great. We look forward to it.
I think Jonathan has a question. Clothing company, I'm not sure, has a clothing company itself tried to develop new product SKUs with the scrap materials? Jonathan, can you clarify if you're talking about the fabric or the clothing company? And we can also answer other questions as well. Okay. Miranda wants to know, what is the fabric treated with? I guess you can answer for both for the books as well as the fleece.
Yep. So the samples will, they're all different, but they have, for instance, we know for almost all of them, and they know that when they come in the book, we have a lot of information about where they come from, like who the manufacturer is, what season it's in. We have a bunch of information. You can't really read any of that, of course, but about what the material is made from, what it's treated with. So there's some variety in all of them, but we have all that information available for each individual piece.
Okay, awesome. Jonathan clarified his question. I think he was referring to Open Arms. So has Open Arms tried to make new products, but I think that's a little bit different from their business model, if you want to clarify that.
Yep. So they do kind of a variety of kind of soft goods and home goods. We are very happy to provide introductions for folks who would like to speak more about their work and what they do. As most of our nonprofits understand, didn't have the capacity to do this pitch, so we've offered to do it on their behalf. But we're perfectly happy or very happy to put you guys together with them to get more information and to kind of facilitate what that might look like.
Awesome. All right, I think we have 30-ish seconds left. If folks have any last minute questions for Jennifer before we transition to our third supplier. All right, going once, going twice. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Jennifer. And again, folks, Jennifer will have a table after this main portion, so you can still come up and talk to her and ask any additional questions you may have. All right, thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks, Nina. I appreciate it.
All right, so our third speaker today will be Lori Nelson, who is the Director of Child Nutrition for KIPP Texas Public Schools. Lori, please come on to the stage, and folks, feel free to give her some love, emojis, +1s.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to be here tonight. As Nina said, I am the Child Nutrition Director for KIPP Texas Public Schools. Who are we? So we are a network of 59 tuition-free public charter schools. We educate just over 32,000 underserved students across the state of Texas. And specifically in our Austin region, we consist of 11 tuition-free schools, and we're housed in 4 campuses around the city of Austin. You can see our locations there on the screen. So our child nutrition mission statement at KIPP Texas in Austin, all of our meals are scratch made in-house, and we aim to provide fresh meals with the nutrition necessary to fuel our students' academic success while building lifelong healthy habits. So let's talk about school lunch. What's the deal? So any school in the country that operates the National School Lunch Program, they're required to follow a very specific set of meal patterns that, when combined together, they create what's called a reimbursable meal. And these meals are reimbursed to schools at a set rate by the United States Department of Agriculture. And these meal pattern requirements often lead to quite a bit of waste. So one of the requirements is we have to offer every student a variety of milk. So that means 2 different choices of milk for every breakfast and every lunch every day that we serve, which in Austin specifically, that averages about 7,000 cartons of milk a day. And that brings us to our material. So what you see here, it's a 1/2 pint milk carton. Anyone who's been to school has likely drank from these, seen these, touched them. They are 2 inches by 2 inches by 4.5 inches. They're 90% paperboard with a thin inside coating of polyethylene, and they hold 8 fluid ounces. So in the waste stream, at first glance, these milk cartons seem convenient. They fulfill our program requirements in a neat, standardized way. However, the dirty side is they're not recyclable. We can't compost them in most areas, so they go right into the waste stream. Traditionally, the PE, PP, and PET coated paper films, they belong to plastic, so they're not biodegradable. And again, they just end up right into the trash. So by the numbers, we average about 7,000 milk cartons a day. That's approximately about 125,000 units or more on a monthly basis. Milk cartons free to you. Require, I think, regular scheduled pickups of the material just based on the volume and the contents alone. And these are available pretty consistently of 11 months out of the year. The only month really where we don't operate a full service is the month of July. So, August through June, these would be readily available. And in just thinking through, what if milk cartons were the answer? So, operating a school lunch program really does come with its own set of pitfalls, and a major one is being waste. So what if we could transform these milk cartons into something that could go back into the school system? Typically, especially in this COVID dynamic that we're working in, we have to use plastic forks, styrofoam lunch trays, just because our students are mobile. They're eating outside or they're eating in their classrooms. And these supplies, while they're convenient in the short term, significantly inconvenient in the long term. 40 billion pieces of plastic utensils and over 225 million foam lunch trays end up in our landfills each year. And, when they do, it's not good. They're leaching pollutants into the water, into the air. And I think it's estimated they spend 500 or more years into our landfills. So, I've seen, students make these milk cartons into bird feeders or, nice drink coasters, things of that nature. But could they really be used for a larger purpose? Can these cartons be transformed into maybe a lunch tray or some sort of fork or spork or something to really revolutionize the systemic waste that, a lot of our schools deal with in food service? So, and with that, I will gladly take your questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Lori. We'll give folks a couple seconds to type in the Q&A. All right, first question. Is the material only empty cartons, or would it also be containers that still have milk?
Yeah, that's a good question. So right now they're just thrown right into the trash. They could be half full, they could be all the way full. Some of them end up being unopened. So if this material were selected, it's fairly easy to just create a system in our lunchroom for students to separate their milk cartons from the rest of the trash. And we're not going to ask that you dig through all of the food waste. We would separate them for you.
Awesome. Second question, would you happen to know how much weight the milk cartons hold?
Well, it's 8 fluid ounces. I don't know what that would weigh.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard conversion.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's more by volume, I'm assuming. Right. All right. Any other questions? Rory, I'll double check the chat as well. Okay. Okay. So Jonathan, that's a great question. Jonathan is new to Austin. He asked, anyone in this group familiar with local permaculture groups and or natural building communities? Probably not the right context for this, but if you want to chat with me during the judging at one of the judging tables after this, I'm I have some overlap in the permaculture community. Okay, so next question. I think someone just clarified, it's just milk cartons, no other trash.
That's great.
Yeah, Robert did the math for us. 8 fluid ounces, about half a pound. Thank you, Robert. So helpful. Okay. Oh, and then Noelle's also interested in permaculture. See you in a bit. Let's see. Oh, if some of the cartons still have milk, presumably they need to be picked up quickly to prevent mold or rotting.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Let's give maybe, let's see how we're doing time. Another 30 or so seconds. Any last minute questions for Lori? And again, she'll be here as well afterwards. Okay, does KIPP have capacity to clean them up a bit before pickup? I'm assuming the answer might be no.
Well, yes and no. I think we could discuss that. I mean, we do have a full team of porters and cafeteria dishwashers, just things of that nature. So,
Okay.
what I've done in the past is if there is liquid milk, we would have students empty that into one trash can, and then they would put their milk cartons into another. So at least they would be empty of most of the liquid. But I don't think we have the capacity to rinse them out specifically.
Okay, I think that answers our other person's question around can we dump out the milk? So the cartons are more or less empty. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Lori, for your time. And we'll transition to our final presenter for today. Carly Farley is a recycling coordinator, and Gracie Sanders as well is the supply warehouse coordinator for Travis County. Would love to invite y'all onto stage, and folks, feel free to drop in some +1s and emojis as well.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to get my screen sharing up here. Okay, my name is Carly Farley. I am the recycling coordinator for Travis County. And as Nina mentioned, we do also have Gracie Sanders here with us. She is the supply warehouse coordinator for our Travis County jail. So she'll be able to answer some more specific questions than I. So Travis County, just a little bit of a background. We have a map outlined here so that y'all can really see like exactly where we're located and that where everyone else is. We operate 43 facilities and we have 30 parks. The county does have a goal of being zero waste, so 90% by 2040, which is a large part of why we're doing this as well. So I work on the conserve team, and we work on focusing to conserve water, natural resources, and other materials through source reduction, reuse, recovery, and recycling. So we do a lot of collaboration with the Travis County Sheriff's Office as well to implement this effort. So that leads us into our material. So the Travis County Sheriff's Office, our law enforcement staff wear bulletproof vests and body armor for protection. These vests are stored within the Travis County purchasing warehouse. And basically our terms of use are they get picked up from the Travis County purchasing warehouse, and we would have to receive a certification of some sort from whoever picks them up and takes them that the vests were actually recycled and repurposed, because we are a government entity, so we can't really give away a bulletproof vest without receiving proof that it has been repurposed and they're not just out there being used as actual expired bulletproof vests, because these do expire, and which is why we have a collection of them. So our current inventory is about 530 vests, but that grows every week, so I'm not sure if that's exactly accurate this week. We generate an estimated 10 or more vests per month. They expire 5 years from the date of the manufacture, which sounds like we wouldn't have them rolling in constantly, but you would be surprised, we do. Even though it's 5 years from the date, we're constantly giving new ones out, so we're obviously constantly getting the old ones back in. There will be no charge for the material. And then the properties of these vests are that there are three sort of layers, like three main materials within them. So the white layer that you see is going to be multiple layers of Dyneema SB 115 sheets. The yellowish kind of color is the Kevlar portion of the vest, and the gray panel is just some fabric covering with some bullet resistance, so just really tightly sewn. Some possible reuse or repurpose options we just wanted to throw out there. We know that these different materials in the vest previously have been made into rope, tire tread, cut resistant gloves, brake pads, outdoor track material. They can also be an ingredient in bricks or building materials, tents, hammocks, and parachutes. So these are really strong materials that can be repurposed into other things. And then, does anyone have any questions? I ran through that pretty quickly. So I'll stop sharing.
Thank you, Carly. All right, feel free to type in your questions in the Q&A. All right, first question. Do you happen to know why the manufacturers say they can't be submerged in water? This person assumes it would ruin some of the properties, or would a competitor get more information?
I would have to defer that question to Grace. My assumption, I'm sorry, my tongue is burning. My assumption is that it would make them less effective.
Yes, it's mostly just because it would just mess with the properties of the fabric and the weight, of course. But each manufacturer we've used, or each product that we've used, different brands, will always say to use a damp cloth and not use any corrosive products or anything else other than just a moist damp cloth or sponge. Right, but that is, of course, when it's in its actual use. If it were to be used for other purposes, I mean, I don't see where that would still hold true.
Awesome. All right, we have a lot of questions coming in. What do they weigh, each vest?
That's hard to tell depending on the size. I would say maybe no more, and I'm guessing maybe about 5 pounds. But yeah, they're not super heavy.
Are the vests fairly easy to deconstruct into those different materials?
As far as down to the properties of turning them into gloves and that, I couldn't speak to that. I reached out to the manufacturers, but have not had a response from them yet. As far as tearing them up the way I did, it was just scissors and just tearing it up into the different layers. The Dyneema is more almost like a waxy appearance, wax paper type flexibility. Not very, I mean, you can sew through it. I'm not sure how long, whether it would be waterproof or anything like that, but it's a very thin layer of fabric. Very much like what you would see in maybe nylon tent, parachute, something like that, maybe, but more of a paper consistency.
Okay. We have 2 questions related to the materials. Melissa asked, could you put the name of the white material in the chat so folks can research it if they would like? And then an anonymous person asked, can you please provide more info about each of those 3 layers, especially what they're made of, if you know?
Well, the Dyneema is a brand name. The Dyneema SB 115 is a specific type of the Dyneema, but there is a lot of information for the Dyneema brands because they do already provide a lot of materials for tents, hammocks, any of that type of material. So there's a lot of information readily available online for Dyneema. So.
And then thank you, Carly, for putting those material properties in the chat. All right, any other, I think Melissa asked, it's just a covering, not the actual bulletproof part. I think it is that correct? It's the entire vest.
The entire thing together will make up the bulletproof vest. Individually, it doesn't hold the same properties, obviously, but to compile together, yes, that would make the bulletproof ability of the vest.
Okay. And then lastly, Susan asked, can you tell us again where we can get a sample of this?
if you were to need a sample, I already have one that's deconstructed. I could cut it down to smaller pieces, and they can contact me or Carly, and we can make arrangements to have them pick something up here at the sheriff's office and get approval through the purchasing department, because we do have to file different statutes on how the property can be released to others, but we can get approval on that.
Last question related to that. Could you please explain more about what the certification process entails?
Basically, it's a chain of custody that we are relinquishing an expired body armor by serial number or any notation that's on there, and you will certify that they will be deconstructed or used for other purposes and not as a full vest, full ballistic panel as it is when it's not expired.
Yes, and to add to that, you don't have to do it through a certain form or anything, or any government form. Literally just type up a piece of paper with like your letterhead on it and say, I did this, and sign it, so that we have that like legal piece of paper saying like you signed and you said you're taking care of it.
Okay, awesome. All right, thank you both for sharing. With that, this concludes the first half of this event. So I'm going to ask Mel from AYC if you can please share screen, and then we'll talk about some last minute details before we break for networking. Awesome. All right. So that was it. That was the 7th annual reverse pitch competition. Again, we so appreciate all 50+ people being here today, and we're so excited to hear what business ideas you come up with. And I just want to say it is really amazing to be in the city of Austin where these opportunities exist. Our virtual platform, Remo, is going to be open until 8 p.m. Again, we encourage you to speak with the material suppliers and also meet other participants as well. Every supplier has a virtual table on the first floor, then on the right-hand side when you look at the floor plan view. So yeah, come by, say hi, ask additional questions as well. Secondly, if you are looking to join a competitor team, definitely introduce yourself to other folks. Find a table labeled Find a Teammate, just to get to start some of those conversations. And we also encourage competitors, mentors, technical advisors, and judges to connect this evening. There's different tables around from Meet a Mentor, Meet a Technical Advisor, Meet a Judge, which I will be one, to support what is happening with this specific competition. All right. As a reminder, after you leave this event and you're excited and you're inspired to do this, friendly reminder to submit your intent to compete application, which is only a 1 to 2 sentence description of your idea, along with your mentor request by March 7th. And this is the first step to initiate you into this competition. And then you'll receive all the additional submission information and links tomorrow by email. All right. All registered competitors, after you do that, you'll actually receive an invitation with a Zoom link for the 2 free optional workshops on March 24th and March 31st. Again, these are optional, but highly recommended to help you with your business concept. And then the recordings from today's presentation will be posted at reversepitch.org tomorrow for you to review or share with other folks as needed. And then lastly, if you were really motivated, inspired to compete tonight, but you didn't say this when you first registered, no worries. You can still email events@austinyoungchamber.org to get all the information you need to move on to that first stage of the competition. And with that, thank you so much to all the amazing planning team, organizations behind this, all the promotional partners who help spread the word, and obviously our Innovation Prize supporters. So with that, enjoy the rest of your evening and let's get to networking. Thanks everyone. See y'all around.